Okay, grab a pen. Any color, except red. Because in Korea, that might literally mean you want someone dead. Sounds insane, right? You're like, no way a simple ink color can be that serious. But in South Korea, writing a living person's name in red is a huge cultural no-no. It's awkward. It's creepy. And for some people, it's low-key terrifying. The story begins with a small, unsettling detail. Writing someone's name in red ink, and slowly unpacks why this ordinary act carries such heavy meaning in Korean culture. Rather than treating it as superstition, the narrative traces the custom through history, funeral practices, and collective memory, showing how color becomes a boundary between the living and the dead, and how everyday habits quietly preserve deep cultural values. So let's break this down. Why red? Why names? And why does this tiny thing still freak people out in a super modern high-tech country? First, quick test. If you're Korean or grew up in a Korean household and someone writes your name in red. Yeah, instant chills. It's like someone wrote your name on a tombstone. It feels wrong on a gut level. If you're not Korean, you probably use red all the time. Teacher's notes, underlining, Valentine's card, whatever. Totally normal. But in Korean culture, the meaning of red ink is deeply tied to death, funerals, and the spirit world. This isn't just, oh, it's bad luck. It connects to centuries of history. Let's go way back. Before ballpoint pens, before markers, before your favorite pastel highlighters. We're in a world of brushes and ink. Korea used black ink for everyday writing. But red? Red was special. Red was powerful. In East Asian traditions, red is both lucky and dangerous. It's the color of celebration, but also the color used to keep away evil spirits. So red shows up at weddings, holidays, and festivals, but also in rituals, talismans, and protection charms. Here's where it gets very specific. Historically, red ink was used in official records to write the names of people who had died. On family registers, on ancestral documents, on some legal papers, red meant this person is no longer among the living. Imagine a family record book. You've got your grandparents' names in black, your parents in black, your siblings in black, and then one name is written in red. That's the person who passed away. So red ink becomes a visual line between the living and the dead. Same page, same family. But one color says alive, the other color whispers gone. In old Korean beliefs, a person's name is not just a label. It's tied to their identity, their spirit, their presence in this world. So when you mess with the name, you mess with the person. Change the name, curse the name, erase the name. Spiritually, that's a big deal. Now add the color red. Red is used in talismans to repel ghosts and demons. Red ink, red paint, red thread. So in some practices, you'd write things in red to protect the living from evil, but you'd also use red to mark those who've already crossed over. Over time, this created a really strong association. Red name equals dead person. So when you casually write your friend's name in red on a notebook today, for someone raised with that background, it's like you just declared, you're next. Seriously, that's why this tiny act feels so heavy. It's not about the pen. It's about centuries of memory sitting behind that pen. There's another layer. The way red shows up around funerals. Traditional Korean funerals, influenced by Confucian rituals and local customs, are all about honoring the dead, guiding their spirit, and protecting the living. Color is part of that language. White is connected to mourning. Black shows up in modern clothing. But red is often avoided in funeral clothing because it's so strong, so charged. Red can be used in rituals for protection, but you don't want to trap the spirit with too much bright, aggressive energy. So again, red becomes this boundary color. It stands on the border. Here is where life and death separate. When you write a dead person's name in red on an ancestral tablet or in an old register, it's not random. It's a signal. When you mark something in red to keep evil away, it's not just design, it's protection. So what happens when someone writes a living person's name in red? It feels like you just tossed that person over the boundary line. You took their living identity and painted it in spirit world ink. There are stories from older generations where people believed that writing someone's name in red could shorten their life, attract misfortune, or symbolically call death toward them. Many younger Koreans today might not literally believe that, but the discomfort is still there. It's like an echo of old beliefs, and this is where it gets mind-blowing. South Korea is insanely modern. Speed internet, skyscrapers, K-pop, AI, plastic cards, digital everything. But you still have this one rule floating around. Do not write someone's name in red. You'll even see it in schools. A teacher might use red ink to mark mistakes or underline important points. Totally fine, but most will avoid writing a student's name in red. Why? Because parents complain. Students get nervous. It just feels wrong. On birthday cards, people pick blue, black, or cute colors. Red for hearts and decorations? Sure. Red for happy birthday, Jisoo? A lot of people would say absolutely not. Think about work settings. You're in an office in Seoul. You write your coworker's name on a list in red ink because that's the pen you grabbed. Someone looks at the paper and goes, maybe change that. Awkward laugh. Quick rewrite. You just accidentally created a mini horror movie on paper. And it's not because everyone thinks the person is actually going to die. It's about respect. It's about not connecting a living person with death symbolism. It's like you don't joke about stuff that deep, even visually. What's wild is that this rule shows up even in digital life. In some online games or communities, if someone uses red text to spell another person's name, it can feel uncomfortable. You might not be punished for it, but people notice. The old meaning sneaks into modern tech. Think about how many times you write your name, school forms, bank accounts, exams, name tags. In Korea, that simple action is colored, literally, by this quiet rule. Black or blue? Normal. Red? Feels cursed. You won't believe how far some people take this. There are parents who tell their kids from a very young age, never write your name in red. Don't write anyone else's name in red. No long explanation, just a firm rule. And kids grow up with this voice in their head. Name plus red equals bad. Now here's something important. Red is not always negative in Korean culture. It's not like red is evil. At New Year, you see red decorations. At weddings, traditional outfits with red look beautiful. Red peppers, red kimchi, red makeup, red logos. All normal. So it's not the color itself that's cursed. It's the combination. Red ink plus a living person's name. And that's what makes this so fascinating. The rule is surgical, very specific. You can draw a giant red heart. You can write good luck in red. But if you write good luck Minho and Minho is in red, some people will flinch. Underneath all this is one deep idea. The living and the dead share space, but they shouldn't be confused. The name is like a tag on your soul. Red ink says, this belongs on the other side. So people avoid doing that to someone they care about. In the past, during certain periods, red ink was also used by high authorities to write commands, make corrections, or issue judgments. The king, in some dynasties, might have used a different color of ink to distinguish his words from everyone else's. So color in writing was always loaded with meaning, not just aesthetic, symbolic. Today you might see red ink in official stamps or seals in Korea. Those red stamps on documents are everywhere. But again, they usually don't stamp a living person's handwritten name in red ink for no reason. There's a quiet awareness. Don't clash with that old meaning. So, how does this play out in real life? Scenario 1. A foreign teacher in Korea writes students' names in red on the whiteboard. The kids start whispering. Some look nervous. The teacher is confused. Later, a Korean coworker gently explains, "Hey, maybe use a different color for names." The teacher is like, seriously? The color of the marker? Yep, that's small. Scenario 2. You buy a birthday cake in Korea and ask the bakery to write your friend's name on top. If you request red icing for the name, there's a good chance the staff will hesitate or recommend another color. They might not want to be the ones to put a death color on your friend's name. Scenario 3. A kid doodles in their notebook and writes their own name in red just because the pen is close. Their grandma sees it and reacts immediately. She tells them to cross it out and rewrite it in black or blue. For her, it's like cleaning up a spiritual mess. All of this might sound over the top if you didn't grow up with it, but that's the power of culture. Little rules carry huge emotional weight. And this is not just some isolated quirk. Names and colors are taken seriously in many cultures. In some places, you don't say the name of the dead out loud. In others, you give a newborn a special name to protect them from spirits. In Korea, one of the quiet rules is, don't paint the living in the color of the dead. What's mind-blowing is how invisible this rule can be. You might visit Korea, see all the neon lights, K-drama billboards, cafes, and fashion, and never realize this is a thing. Until you grab a red pen and write someone's name. And the room goes weirdly silent. Even Koreans who don't believe in any superstition may still avoid it out of habit. It's like knocking on wood. You don't really think the universe is waiting for your mistake, but why risk it, right? And that's the heart of it. This tiny habit, this choice of ink color, becomes a way of showing care. I won't write your name in red because I want you to stay safe, healthy, alive. It's almost like a silent blessing. Black or blue says, you belong with us, with the living. So next time you're in Korea at a stationery store, looking at all the cute pens and markers, remember, that little red pen has a heavy job. It's not just for underlining notes or circling answers. Culturally, it's carrying centuries of belief about life, death, and the line in between. Color in this context isn't decoration. It's a boundary. Red isn't just bright. It's loaded with memory. And that's what makes this custom so powerful. It shows how something as boring as ink becomes emotional, spiritual, and social. How one small choice, this color, not that one, keeps a tradition alive without anyone giving a full lecture about it. So if you ever write a card to a Korean friend, here's the move. Use red for hearts, red for cute doodles, red for emphasis if you want. But when it's time to write their name, pick another color. It's a tiny gesture. But in that culture, it speaks volumes. You're not just being polite. You're stepping into a long, invisible story where color separates the living from the dead, and everyday habits quietly protect the people we care about. Who knew a simple pen could carry that much history? Seriously.